Hello guys, welcome back to another Android episode. From today, in 2 episodes, I'd be teaching you all Java, Android, SQLite and how to do SQLite functions in our Android application. First thing, let's create a new project. Here I'll have an empty activity and I'll call this SQL1 and I'll select the folder to have this application, and it will be inside here. Okay, I'll press on OK, and the next thing, I select the language as Java and the minimum SDK as Lollipop of API 21, and the next thing, I'll click on Finish. Now our application is getting built. Alrighty. Now first thing, we'll make a new package inside our Java folder, and this will be called database. And here inside this, I'll make a class. I'll call this SQLite helper. This will be our SQLite helper class. And the next thing, I'll extend this with SQLite open helper like this. It is necessary to do this. And the next thing, I'll take on the red bulb and implement the methods. The two methods onCreate and onUpgrade for SQLite will be implemented like this. Okay. And the next thing, we must make a constructor out of our SQLite helper class. We say public SQLite helper, and inside it I'll pass context as context, and the super will be context, and the name of the database we are creating, which will be test, and we'll give the int version as null. And the next thing, database handler error handler will be 1 like this. Okay, next thing, let's create something inside our own create method. We'll get our SQLite database, and we'll say execc SQL to write a SQL script. Here we say create table, and I'll create a table called user, which has an ID of integer, and primary key, and auto increment like this, and I'll give a comma. And the next thing, I'll have a name of varchar 20. And another field for the password, I'll have a password field, password of Vacha 20 as well, like this. Okay. What I did here was I used the SQLite database to execute the SQL command, and I executed the create table command. I created the table called user with three fields. One is ID integer primary key, and it is a primary key and it is on auto increment, and the next one was the name with varchar 20 character space and password with varchar 20 character space, like this. Next thing, we'll go on to the upgrade method and we'll write some code. We say database SQLite database dot exe csql, and here I'll have a drop table user, and the next thing I'll say on create and pass the database to SQLite database to this. So what I did here was I wrote a SQLite database command using exec SQL to drop the table if we want to drop the table anytime. So it was written in the onUpgrade method. So I used the SQLite database to have a drop table user command executed. Okay, now let's go on to the XML file of the main activity, and here we'll write some code. We'll remove the text view and we'll have some buttons. We'll have 5 buttons. Button with match parent and match parent. No. With height, wrap content, and layout with also wrap content, and I'll have some margin. I'll have a constraint top of as parent, and constraint left to left of as parent as well, and constraint right to right of as parent as well. So this will be brought inside in the middle of the field. Here I'll type a text called create db, and I'll close this from here and I'll give this in ID. I'll say cdb, and let's copy this and paste it 4 times. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And here we'll call the next one with the ID insert. Here also we say insert values, and here I say update, and here I'll change the ID to update, and the next thing will be delete, and I'll change the text to delete, and next I'll have a search button and the ID will be search like this. And the next thing, we'll have the constraint top of as for the second button as id create id cdb like this. Now we say top to bottom of as id cdb like this. And here also we'll change this to constraint top to bottom of as id insert like this. And the next one will be also like that. I'll say constraint top to bottom of as the id update. And the next button's constraint to top to bottom of will be id delete like this. Now we've made an application with some buttons. We'll have to write some code for these buttons. Okay, I'll change the color of this layout to background into a light color. I'll say /2 through. I'll have this color for the background of our activity, for our XML file. And the next thing, we'll save this from here, and let's go to main activity and create some methods. What we'll do is we'll write a method inside of this. We'll say on click and we'll give a method name. The first one's method name will be create db, and because it's not there, they are showing an error message. We'll click on this and create db in main activity like this. We'll do the same for the other ones. On click will be insert data, and I'll click on the orange button and create the method. And for the update, on click and I'll say update db, and I'll click on the orange button and say create update db. And let's do the same for the delete one. On click will be delete data, and I'll click on the red button and say create delete data. And we'll do the same for the search as well. We'll have on click and say search data, and we'll create the handler for it. Alrighty, now we've created the methods. Now it's time to implement the code for these methods. For the create database, we'll call our SQLite helper and call it helper, which will be equal to new SQLite helper like this. And we must provide a context inside of this. I'll give this a this. And the next thing, we say SQLite database equal to helper dot get writable database. What this does is, this creates a database where we can both write and read from our SQLite persistent storage. And for the insert data, we'll have the SQLite helper again, and we'll call this helper. We'll say new SQLite helper and provide this as the context. And the next thing will be we'll have this line as well for the use, and here we say database.exec_sql, and we'll write a code inside this to insert our values. We say insert into our user table values. We'll have name and password, and we'll say values like this, and we'll have this, and we insert some values. We say Kulesh, and password will be 143 like this. If this is successful, we'll provide a toast at the bottom. We'll give the get application context to this, and we'll tell the text as inserted to DB. Now let's do the same for the update button. We'll copy this from here and paste it here, and we'll say database.exec_sql, and here we'll have the update command. Update user set password equal to 456, where name is equal to Kulesh, like this. And next thing, we'll provide a toast that says, gives the application context and says updated. And let's do the same for the delete button. We'll copy this and paste it here, and we say database.exec_sql delete from user where name equal to Kulesh, like this. No, we provide the ID. We say name where ID equals to 1, like this. And let's go for the search button. We'll paste this from here. We'll copy this and paste here, and we'll say we'll have another method, cursor equals to database.drawQuery, and here we say select star for all from user, and we provide the other cancellation signal as null, and we'll have a while. Here we say cursor dot move to next, And the next thing, we'll log.I cursor dot toString and have our 0th index placed here. Now we'll say cursor dot get string like this. We'll have an S out that says cursor dot get string, and we provide the index for this, and because this is an int, we'll have to concat this. And for the next thing, we'll have an S out that says cursor dot get column index, and we'll provide the name for this, and we'll concat this as well. And the next thing, we'll S out a \n like this. We'll provide some space here, and finally we'll have a toast that says search complete like this. So this is our first SQLite application, and I'll tell you what I did in the search data method. I made a SQLite helper called helper and a database, and the next thing I used a cursor for creating a database.raw query where I provided the query select all from user, and the next thing I provided the while with the cursor.move to next, and next I s out at cursor.getString and the 0th index, which is our first record, and cursor.getColumn index, which is the name, and finally I implemented this toast where I say the search is complete. Now let's save this everything and let's run this inside our application. Actually, we'll have another toast here. We forgot to do that. This will say deleted if successful. And let's save this. Let's save this and run again. Let's stop this and run this again. Now we'll first click on create DB and see what happens. Let's click on create DB. And actually now, because we haven't given the toast, we know that a DB was created. Now let's click on insert values. and it says inserted to DB, and let's update this. It says updated, and let's delete this. It says deleted. Now let's press on search, and because there's nothing to search, we get nothing. And we'll click on create DB again and insert values. The next thing we'll say search, and search got completed. Let's see the values of our search. Actually, what we'll do is we'll toss these values. We'll have a toss that says get application context, and we'll have cursor.getString, which is here, copied and pasted here. We say .toString, and we'll concat this with a space and another. Here we'll have this copied and pasted here, and we'll say we'll have this like this, and we'll comment this for now, and let's run this again. We'll say create DB, insert values, and search. We got our index values. Search got completed, and we got our values like this. Now we'll have the second index. Now we'll just try to get the cursor.column index, which is the name. We'll click on create DB and insert values and press on search. Here we must give .toString. Here we must concat this. Let's run this again. We'll click on create DB and insert values and click on search. We got 1. We'll click on update and search. Now we say cursor dot get string and provide the first index to this to get our name value. And we'll do the same for the second one. We'll say cursor dot get string and provide 2. And let's run this and check the output. So let's create DB and insert values and press on search. We got our values Kulesh 456 and the search got completed. So in today's lesson I taught you about how to do SQLite CRUD operations, which are create, remove, update and delete, and I'll come up with another video for SQLite in the next video, and I'll see you there. So till then, goodbye guys, and please take care.